that if there was a leak, there was a mole. And by the way, we do have a caller in. My guy, what up?
Peace. What's up, my brother?
We got Charlamagne the God on, people. Listen, man, 9 a.m. this morning, I wake up and I see a notification and my phone's going crazy. Kendrick Lamar drops again. I know you've spoken about how this was going, and actually you shocked me because you said that at first you were having Drake with the lead. I want to just hear your thoughts on everything going on, and especially this battle. What do you think is going on right now?
I think that if people can be objective, like you can't be a Kendrick Lamar stan, you can't be a Drake stan. If you're just an objective hip hop fan who enjoys, really good lyrical raps and really good music, you have to say you're very impressed at what both Drake and Kendrick Lamar have done thus far. Like you just have to. Like whether you got, you might have them even on the scorecard, you might have Drake up, you might have Kendrick up, but even if you got Drake up, it's not by much. Even if you got Kendrick up, it's not by much. Because you got to factor in like that, right? Like you got to factor in like that as where this current iteration of the actual battle has begun. So you factor in like that, then you do push-ups. You got to do the Tailor-Made record. Then you got Euphoria, and now you got the new timestamp record that Kendrick did. What is it, 616 in LA?
Yeah, and I'm hearing so many different references of why it's 616. Apparently, that's Canadian Father's Day. Apparently, and chat, I don't know if you guys... It is. It's 16. And not only that, June 16th, 2016 was the first episode that aired of Euphoria. I don't know if Kendrick is that meticulous, but Canadian Father's Day is June 16th. June 16, 2016 was the first episode that aired of Euphoria, the show about the kids are going crazy. It's also I think the day of the acquittal, which by the way, there's a glove on the cover art. This is kind of I do want to ask you one thing.
It's a glove on the cover art, but don't it got the Maybach music logo, or is that just the Maybach logo? Period. That's the Maybach logo, right?
Yeah, it's the Maybach logo, but some people feel like apparently this is also a historic day because of OJ was allegedly acquitted on June 16th. Like I don't remember what year. Which is so many references, but you were mentioned in back to back, and I think up until that point, Drake and Meek was probably, I've always said, just even me being ancillary on the internet covering that, it was like one of the biggest moments in hip hop. You being there for that and being here for this, how do you think both compare? Like I feel like this is like surreal right now.
Well, I think, there's one definitive winner in all of this right now, and I think it's you, and I hope you're really paying attention to the moment. Like I told you earlier, like this is your moment to kind of like, rebrand yourself in a sense, because like you got the reputation for being the shock jock who'll say anything, and people will say Akademiks isn't good for hip hop, he's not good for the culture. They say Akademiks doesn't do anything but go in on women. By the way, me and you've had these conversations for years. Like I told you years ago to fall back from doing that, especially the going in on women piece. But I think this is a really good moment for you right now because the things that I always pay attention to you about, and I've always paid attention to you about, is you being like the hip hop cultural critic. And I think right now, man, if you just keep doing that, keep it about music and just objective criticism of what's going on in regards to Kendrick and regards to Drake, I think it's going to really shift how people perceive you. Because even with me, I think most of your audience, they come to you for those music takes. When you're doing the music breakdowns and, you taking us into the world of what's going on musically and in the culture, I think that's what people come to you for. Even if you go back to those, those War and Chiracs, that's essentially what that was. That's what that was as well. If people were really paying attention to it and can get past the sensationalization of it all. But I think it's a good place for you.
Hey, I'm asking you this question from someone who I've asked questions to along my career for, I think you've been there, right? Like for example, so Kendrick name drops and kind of like name checks me on the record, but he says, yo, I think Ak is compromised. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, like that's one of the I do have like a little built-in bias because I do like the guy's music a lot, right?
You're a Drake fan. It's okay. You're a Drake fan. It's okay.
But I want to be fair though. Like I want to be like. I'm now after even this record, I'm like, how could I go out of my way to try to make sure I'm not trying to like, if Drake loses this like battle or altercation, I don't want to be the guy who's like the one delusional nigga who's like, yo, you know what I mean? Like,
yo, Ak, what's the one thing I've always told you since you know me? A piece of advice Wendy Williams gave me that I always give you. It always say.
It's been a lot.
You're gonna be of the industry.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be of the industry, of the people. That's a fact, 100%.
And that's what, and you gotta always remember that because at the end of the day, we still human. So you're gonna have your picks, right? You're gonna have people that you actually rock with. If you ride around listening to Drake's music and you a super Drake fan, that's your guy. I'm a Kendrick guy. I've always said I feel like Kendrick is the leader of this new generation. I like what Kendrick stands for. When it comes to albums like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I'm on record saying I think in the future people are going to look at that album and say that album and Jay-Z's 444 are two of the most important hip-hop albums of all time, if not the most important. But that's just where I'm at in my life. You know what I mean? I like the things that he's talking about. I like that he's talking about mental health on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I like that he's talking about, doing right by his wife. I like the fact he's talking about mindfulness and issues with his pops. Like, that's where I'm at in my life. So I appreciate that album a little bit different. But even with that, I still got to be objective. So when Push Up came out, I'm just listening for the bars. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. That was a great record. That was a phenomenal response from Aubrey Graham. The Kendrick Lamar's like that. And I think Euphoria is a phenomenal response to, Push-Ups and to Taylor Made. I really do, just because I like the way Kendrick approached it, because Kendrick is coming from a more healed perspective. And he's looking at Drake when he says to Drake, like, yo, I see the boy, but where's the man at? Like it's a psychological evaluation of where he thinks Drake is at in life. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not true, but I thought it was a good approach.
Listen, so I had called Cherry on earlier, and by the way, I agree with you. I had called Cherry on earlier, and we both were trying to like play this out. And of course, I told him, I said, listen, this could go on for the next year. Like I'm not anticipating when this is done, because I do think this is a special time. However, when it came to the Meek and Drake beef, right? Even to a certain extent, even with Nas and Jay-Z, like I think people knew when they could feel like there was a definitive winner. It's possible. Because I'm trying to score this like boxing. If you like, and if you watch boxing, it's like a close, decently close round, 10-9, right? I don't know if this will result in somebody getting knocked out.
I don't think so either. And I really feel like, first of all, you got to salute Drake. Drake has risen to every challenge that's been presented to him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Meek tried to check his pen. He came right at Meek, was charged up and back to back. Pusha came at him. He came with Duppy. Now, I felt like Duppy was more directed towards Kanye, but he still came. But then when freaking Pusha dropped Story of Adidon, or whatever, what was it called? Story? What was that record called?
Story of Adidon, yeah.
Story of Adidon. Like, that was a nuclear weapon. It really was. When you think about that record, like he stepped on Drake's Adidas rollout. So a multi-million-dollar Adidas deal didn't happen because of that record. Then he stepped on, Drake presenting his son the way he wanted to the world. So that was a nuclear bomb. And then Drake bowed out for whatever reason. He decided not to engage with that one. And I think he learned a lot from that battle that he's bringing into the Kendrick battle currently. And I like the fact that he's not backing down from the challenge, but you still got to remember that's Kendrick Lamar. See, I think that this generation don't respect Kendrick Lamar like they should, because Kendrick doesn't. He's about quality over quantity. Like, he takes his time in between albums. He's not putting out music every week. He's not dropping, a feature with an artist, every other month. Like, and being that he moves like an old school rap artist, I don't think people appreciate Kendrick the way that they should. And I think right now what Kendrick is reminding people is like, yo, I'm that guy lyrically. And I've been that guy lyrically. And I really don't have no peers. I really truly don't have no peers. And I think he's showing he's really separating himself from that class. Because the last class was the big three, even though I call it a Fantastic Four, right? I say it's, Drake, Kendrick, Cole, and I put Future up there too. I call it a Fantastic Four.
I thought you were going to say Big Sean.
Man, no. And I like Big Sean. I think Big Sean is super dope, but I can't put him in that Fantastic Four. But Kendrick is separating himself from that three. He's separating himself from Cole. He's separating himself from Drake. So I think, right now what you about to see is just two dudes who really are really dope lyrically. Because, don't front on the guy from Canada now. Hey. You know Aubrey got something in the chamber.
No, of course. And I think people today are impressed by Kendrick doing the same. He followed the same blueprint. He put the song up. Drake's second song, Taylor Made Freestyle, even though it was AI assisted, he just put up on Instagram. And he was just like, while I wait for you to respond to my first one, here's another one. Kendrick did the same. He was basically showing the same speed you put music out with, I could do it.
That's right. I like it because, and so you said something about Nas and Jay. Nobody's made a misstep yet. There was a lot that led up to Takeover, but then when Jay gave us Takeover, Nas came with Ether, and then people would say Super Ugly was a misstep from Jay-Z, right? And by the time Jay regrouped and he gave us Blueprint 2, which was a very dope record, nobody really kind of cared. Nas had already been declared the winner. Like right now, there hasn't been a misstep yet, in the Drake Kendrick situation, because everything that they presented us has been dope. People, they questioned the Taylor Made record. I thought the Taylor Made record was dope. I thought it was creative. I like the angle he took, which, two OGs from the West Coast seemed like they were disappointed in Kendrick. I thought that was a good record. But Kendrick, came back with Euphoria. And I haven't heard a nuke yet. There hasn't been a nuke yet. There's been a lot of calculated drone strikes. And a lot of things are getting blown up. But I haven't seen a nuclear bomb yet.
Hey, so I'll ask you this, especially if we're talking about nuke. What's a nuke in 2024? To go back to 2015, 2016, like the clear nuke, which I was discussing it earlier before you called. I was like, in reality, if people are going to be fair, and I said Meek would have stood a better chance if we changed two parameters. Like, unfortunately, him having a really successful girlfriend got used against him, and secondly, if he didn't tweet out the ghostwriting stuff 2 weeks before he dropped the record, if he just revealed it on a record, maybe people would have thought about it differently. But put it like this, there was a reference track that allegedly, a Yachty reference track that got leaked. Nobody cares about it in 2024. In 2016, I remember hearing them Quentin Miller Ghost reference tracks, and it was like jaw dropping. Like now it feels like if a nuke can't be, hey, you didn't write your song. So what's a nuke?
Well, the reason the nuke didn't work on Drake is because Drake responded with his pen or somebody's pen. Either way, he came out with rap. So if you question me on my pen and you question my skills as an MC, and I come up with Charged Up, then 4 days later I give you back to back, I done barred you up. Now what? Meek didn't. You can't even name the record Meek came out with during that time. You can't even name the feature that Meek came out with during that time. We gotta go look back at that battle. Meek didn't really fight back. He didn't. It was tweets, and then he got barred up with raps. Meek did not fight back in that record. There was a record. I think there was a record with O'Malley that kind of just came and went.
Warpaint.
What's the record? When we talking about this Kendrick Drake thing, we've named 4 or 5. There's 4 or 5 records you can name. What was the record Meek came back with?
Yeah, he had a song. I think the song was called Warpaint.
Nobody cared. And that's not a shot to Meek at all. I'm just telling you, we got to go back and we got to look at this in context. Meek didn't really fight back. Nas and Jay was trading records, with each other. Multiple records. Kendrick and Drake are trading multiple records with each other. I think a nuke in 2024, I don't think there is one. I think that it's going to all come down to preference. That's why I said everybody has to be objective. Like, you can't be too much of a Kendrick stan. You can't be too much of a Drake stan. You just got to sit and look at what the music for it is. And whoever comes out with the best lyrics, whoever comes out with the best music, that'll be the person who's declared the winner. And it's just all about a misstep. That's why right now, the best thing to do is go on offense. That's what Drake did. Drake went on offense. Now Kendrick is on offense. So Drake is back on defense right now,
Yeah,
right?
I also think
it's really on him. Drake can't make a misstep.
I also believe that Drake, he's there's a lot of purists that they're gonna side with Kendrick, and I think Drake is probably in the position now, like if we're treating this like boxing, this is a title fight. Maybe he needs to come with something that's an attempted nuke that he go for the knockout. Let's not let this go to the judges, because Kendrick's playing a tactical game. Like, I mean, in Euphoria, he mentions, "Yo, hey, have you ever played? Have you ever, whatever?" And then he mentions a few things. He brings it back up. He's like, "Hey, remember I asked you about that? Here we go." There's a lot of bars and things he said that he's calling back, but he mentioned them at first and he says, "I'll get back to that." Right?
They play in limbo right now. So it's like they both seeing how low each other gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Like they're playing a game of limbo right now. So both of them seeing how low each other gonna go. And depending on who decides to really go low, one of them gonna take it to hell. And that's when Drake gonna really lean in on his white side and become the white devil and like really probably try to take it to hell.
Wait. What do you think about that angle? Like, the white, like, Rick Ross came out. He was like, "Yo, white boy." Then now, obviously, Drake questioning his blackness. Some people are going to look at it and be like, "Well, your wife is half black, half white, just like Drake." And what do you think about J. Cole then? Because he's also half black, half white.
Well, I've been said J. Cole and Drake shouldn't be allowed to say nigga. They should only say nig. I've said that for years. They both should only say nig. But what I will say about that is, like, Kendrick isn't talking about race as much as he's talking about culture. You know what I mean? He's not mad at Drake being biracial. Because if you're a black man, if you got a black father, white mother, and you present as a black man, you a black man. If that's the case, Barack Obama isn't black, and we label him the first black president. So I think that Kendrick is talking about culture. He's talking about the way Drake was raised. That's what he's talking about. He's questioning his blackness on that level. I think it's funny. When Ross, calls him white boy. But to the point you made about his wife, I don't know if Kendrick's wife is half black or half white, but in this era, even though there's people who can hear Kendrick and hear it for what it is, he's questioning Drake's cultural upbringing. He's questioning, does Drake just play black because black American culture in hip hop is what's really popping. That's what he's questioning. But there are people who are going to say, well, if Drake isn't black, then neither is your wife. I think the angle Drake gonna come with is, I think Drake he's gonna listen to Worldwide Steppers off Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and he's gonna try to play Kendrick, for having affairs with white women. Because on that record, Kendrick talked about having affairs with white women. I think Drake's gonna use that against him just because Kendrick has brought race and culture into the picture. And when you looked at as Kendrick is looked at as like this really pro-black rapper, there's a lot of people that'll be like, yeah, but you out here rapping about everything gonna be all right, but in the bedroom your affairs was all right. I can see
That's a bar.
I can see Drake coming with that angle. I can see him coming with that angle. But listen, let's be clear. Drake is a black person. He's a black man. He's not a black American, but he's a black Canadian. But it's just funny. It's just a funny angle that Ross started, and now Kendrick is running with.
If you're Drake, do you bring out the big hit song? Because that's what people are expecting now. They're saying that Drake should drop the real back-to-back-esque song, the song that's going to be in the clubs, because that's the only it's worked before in getting rid of somebody who was trying to compete with you. You need the hit song now that everybody's going to love.
I absolutely think Drake should stay in his lane, and that is his lane. Like, when you think about a beef like 50 Cent and Ja Rule, right? Like, Ja Rule got jumped the way that they've attempted to jump Drake now. He did get jumped, and by the time he came back with clapback, right? But it looked weird with him coming with clapback because Ja was the hit guy. People forget they forgot the It's Murder Inc. job for a second because he was the hit guy. He was the guy delivering, nothing but nonstop hits. There's a part of me that feels like, if Ja would have came with a hit record that had some disses in it back then, it would have fared better for him. And I think Drake should do that too. I don't think Drake should. I don't think he should play that game with Kendrick. You're not going out lyric Kendrick Lamar. You're not going out hip hop, Kendrick Lamar. Even though I think Drake does a very good job of out hip hopping a lot of people, I don't think he can out hip hop Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is too entrenched in culture. But if I was Drake, that's what I would do. I would come out with a record that's a hit that got some disses in it, and I would have it playing on the radio all summer. I'd have it playing in the clubs all summer long, and that's his best bet. Because nowadays, it ain't even just about the music, and you know that, because you're at the forefront of all of this. It ain't just about the music, it's about the narratives that are created by people. And I always say, nobody cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining. Like, we don't know nothing about Kendrick for real. So Drake, I mean, we know what he puts in his music. And he even acknowledged that on Euphoria, that you listened to Mr. Morale and, you took stuff from there to try to use it against me. You're a master manipulator. But literally, Drake could say whatever he wanted about Kendrick, and the audience will eat it up because they don't know nothing about Kendrick.
Yeah, I would say just lie. Just lie. Like, hey, listen, Ether was, when you go back, people said Ether had a lot of things that weren't true, but did it sound good? God damn, it did.
That's right. But to that point, to me, Takeover aged better. I've always liked Takeover more than Ether, even though I understand the cultural impact of Ether. But when you go back and listen to Takeover, those lyrics, to Mobb Deep and Nas, still kind of both hold up in a real way, right? So what do you want? Do you want the shock for the moment and the win for the moment where everybody's like, oh, or do you want something that's going to stand the test of time that 10 years from now you're going to look back and be like, oh yeah, that right there, that really meant something. Ether definitely means something. But to your point, yes, a lot of things in there. It's just like you listen back now and you're like, oh man, that was like childish playground insults. You got dick sucking lips, and you like it's like But then you go back and hear him
with whiskers like a rat.
Yeah, whiskers like a rat. But when you go back and listen to J Cole just used bars from Takeover for his response to Kendrick Lamar. That whole breaking down his albums, and you only got one classic, all that stuff. That was all from Takeover.
Hey, by the way.
That lets you know take the test of time.
Kendrick is doing such an amazing job at the Wiz sample. The Wiz sample, sampling Al Green on this joint. He's keeping it very black and very hip hop. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's doing a great job of even these little tidbits and nuggets he's kind of sprinkling throughout. He's showing a vast knowledge and appreciation for really just black culture, while kind of painting Drake out to be someone who's only appropriated it and is a fraud.
That's right. Well, that's why Kendrick got 4 black grandparents. So when you got 4 black grandparents, that's how you move. Even when he says, don't tell no lies about me, and I won't have to tell no truth about you. You can't even say something like that if you ain't got 4 black grandparents. That's old school, black rhetoric. But that's what he's doing. That's why I said he can out-culture Drake, because he really is a black man in America who came up in black culture. So he can out-culture Drake. He can out-hip hop Drake in a lot of ways. And that is going to work to his advantage, until it doesn't. That's why I'm interested to see how Drake responds. Does Drake stop using the word nigga now?
Nah, come on. Nah.
Does Drake play the race card? Because we saw him play the race card with Ross. He literally told his mom Ross is racist. If I was Ross, I would have called Drake a Karen right then and there. I'd have been like, oh, this is a Karen. I would have called him Aubrey Graham Cracker. Right then, right then and there. That would have been my response, because that was very white. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's going to be interesting to see how Drake responds. If I'm Drake, I don't want to see him do a record where he's on the defensive, where he's explaining himself.
Yeah, no,
Because
of course.
remember when he did that whole thing on Instagram after Pusha T put out
The
the
blackface.
pictures in blackface,
Yeah.
and he explained himself. If he gets into a position where he's on a record having to defend himself, you know what I mean, like having to defend himself against everything that Kendrick is saying, that's to me that's going to be one of the missteps. That's going to be like the first misstep we see. I wouldn't do that. I would stay with my game plan and come with that hit record. That's a diss record.
Hey, you mentioned Ja Rule, and I remember Ja Rule tweeted it. At first, I was like, wait, you got jumped? And when you do really think about it, Ja Rule did get jumped. Ja Rule's career was definitely altered after that. Is there any possibility, and I'm not talking about maybe to the level of, where Ja's career went afterwards, but do you think something happens where we look at either Drake or Kendrick differently after this?
Nah, I don't think so. And the only reason I don't think so, because salute to Wayno. Wayno said this yesterday. We was talking, and Wayno said that, and I haven't looked it up to see, but he was like, "Yo, Ja was only 5 years in at that point." You know, so in a lot of ways, the foundation of Ja Rule wasn't quite established. Plus, it's just different nowadays, man. You talking about Drake, who's been in the game for damn near 15. You talking about Kendrick, who's been in the game damn near 15. You talking about people who like folks came up with, whether it was the comeback season mixtapes, the So Far Gone mixtapes, the Section 80 mixtapes. And then when you factor in social media, people like Drake and Cole and Kendrick, man, they are in people's lives in a totally different way. Like, people live with these folks every single day. Like, I don't know if the artists that we came up with, especially in that moment, had that type of, cultural reverence, like they did, but it's just different in this social media era. Like, I've never seen a run like Drake's before. I don't think somebody like Kendrick is even a rarity, to where he's in this era where people want stuff all the time, but he can give you an album every 5 years and, pick up right where he left off. Same thing with Cole. I think people they're into these artists in a different way because of social media. These guys got real cult-like followings, not just fans. Like, Ja had fans. Drake, Kendrick, Cole, these dudes got cult-like followings. So I don't think that you're going to do anything to ever make a Kendrick stan change his opinion of Kendrick. You ain't going to ever do anything to make a Drake stan change his opinion of Drake. If anything, what both of them stand to gain is respect from each other's audiences. Like I said, you're lying if you're saying that you're a fan of Kendrick and you love the way he raps and he gets busy, and you saying that dude from Canada don't get busy and can't rap. You lying to yourself if you're a Drake fan, for his raps and his music, but you listen to Kendrick and you say that dude can't rap and that dude can't make good music. So like I keep saying, if you can be objective and not be a Kendrick stan and not be a Drake stan and just listen to the music and the raps, you're going to appreciate what both these brothers are doing, man. Well, you're going to appreciate what his brother and the half a brother is doing.
Hey, I don't know if you heard the rumor, but this is a rumor that I've gotten good authority to say it. I believe like 90% this is true. I haven't heard from the horse's mouth on either side, but I've heard enough. Apparently, when Kendrick mentions I turned down the feature request, that was actually for the song that he did with Cole, which is First Person Shooter. Drake did with Cole. It was supposed to be all three of them on the record, right? And for me, that was a little bit shocking because I'm like, man, I think Kendrick really wasn't respecting these dudes from a minute. He didn't want to be a part of that shit at all.
Well, he said it on Euphoria. He said, I was surprised about the feature request, knowing that we got some shit to address. Man, you don't be knowing what these dudes really be having going on, that we don't see behind the scenes. Like, we don't know who slighted who said what, who did what to who did something to somebody's girl. You don't know what issues these people be having really behind the scenes. So when Kendrick says we got some stuff to address, we the public don't know what the hell they talking about. We think we do, because for whatever reason we live in this world where we think we can just look on somebody's social media feed or listen to somebody's music and know somebody's whole life, but we don't. So maybe Kendrick might have felt like, I know he ain't asking me to do no feature and we ain't even chop it up about, whatever issue it is we got. And from that moment on, Kendrick probably said, man, I'm just going to set it on all of them. Like, I'm going to set it on Cole and Drake, and let's see what happens.
Hey, smart decision for Cole to get out of the way.
Very smart. Listen, man, I don't have no problem with Trey getting out the car. See, y'all ain't grow up on boys in the hood. I grew up on boys in the hood. So I look at Doughboy and I think Monster was in the front seat of the car. I look, that's Drake and Chubbs. Cole in the back seat. Cole don't really want to go no work. I'm not mad at that. If Cole is like, man, Drake, let me out the car. Drake, please let me out the car. I'm not mad at that. Like Drake, like listen, J. Cole said two things that I respect. J. Cole said he realized how good he was sleeping the last 10 years, and he said it didn't feel right in his spirit. When a man tells me something doesn't feel right in his spirit, I don't have no problems with him backing down. And the reason I respect it even more is because he made a decision for self. He didn't make a decision, for the idiots on social media. He didn't, for all the digital dickheads on social media who just want to see him crash out for their own entertainment. He made a decision for himself. That's very hard for people to do in 2024 because people get online every day and they wait for social media to tell them how to feel about things. And they wait for social media to tell them what to do. And he's decided, I'm going to make a decision for myself. This don't feel good to me. This don't feel good to my spirit. So I'm going to back out. I don't have no problem with Trey getting out the car.
Yeah, but could you get out the car after you done fired all the bullets in your gun? Because that's what he dropped the album.
He wasn't firing at Kendrick. Everybody keeps saying that. J. Cole been saying, yo, I'm the best MC. I'm this, I'm that. I'm ready for every challenge.
He had that one song, 7 Minute Drill, where he was just lying. He said, you don't got a classic. Or he said, the last one was average. Remember he was trying to use a Jay-Z thing?
And he was lying. And he know he was lying. For the type of rapper J. Cole is, he know he lying when he say the Pimp. First of all, the Pimp a Butterfly is my favorite Kendrick Lamar album.
Yeah, so I think critically is a classic.
My thing is this, the reason Cold Spirit the reason it didn't sit well with Cold Spirit, not only was he going at somebody he respects, he know he was lying. You just out here straight up lying, yo. The one thing you can't question Kendrick Lamar on is his musical catalog. Do you realize that's all Kendrick has ever given the game? His music.
No, I agree.
He's not being goofy online, doing sketches and skits. All he's ever given us is music, from Good Kid, Mad City, The Pimp a Butterfly, Damn, to Mr. Morale and the Big Stepper. You can even go back to the Section 80s and all that, whatever it is. He's only given us music. And that's why he's so highly respected. So if that's the angle you're going to take trying to shit on somebody like Kendrick Lamar's catalog, J. Cole was bugging from the start. I'm glad Trey got out the car.
Hey, have you ever even given thought to, what did Drake do? Obviously him and Kendrick have like their own thing, but it feels like so many we have A$AP Rocky, we have The Weeknd, we have Rick Ross, Metro, Future. We have all these niggas that don't like him. Have you ever given thought to like, what is this nigga doing?
This been going on forever. That's why, like, back in the day when, with 2016 or whatever it was, when they sent me the reference tracks, thinking that even though I do consider myself an OG veteran Drake hater, right? I don't hate the man where I want to see him gone out of the game. So back in the day when they sent me those reference tracks, it was like 4 reference tracks. It was like I think it was, what records was it? I think it was Know Thyself. I think it was Rico.
Know Yourself, Rico.
I want to say it was Energy, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, Energy was one of them too. Energy was one of them, and I think like 10 bands or something.
10 bands. So it was 4 reference tracks they sent me. They told me the whole thing about Quentin Miller, and they thought that I was going to go on the radio the next day and give Drake Donkey today and going on Drake. And I remember calling my homegirl Jazz Fly, God bless the dead. And I remember telling Jazz Fly about the situation. I didn't even know Jazz Fly and Drake was even cool. But come to find out, they was cool. So she calls Drake. I didn't even know she was calling Drake. I told her I was going to actually just hit up Jay Prince and send. I did. That's what I did actually. I hit Jay Prince up and send Jay Prince the records. Like, yo, this is what. Just letting y'all know. This is what's up. This is on you. I'm staying out of this. And the reason I wanted to stay out of it because you know what didn't sit well in my spirit when I played that audio of Floyd Mayweather reading.
Oh, that was before.
That was before. So it felt like that all over again. It felt like it just didn't feel right. And I'm like, yo, I'm not trying to ruin Drake. I don't hate Drake like that. And so that's how I even ended up in the back-to-back record, So
I'm wondering why you didn't.
Hold on. I got off on a tangent. What was the original question? Hold on. You asked me, oh, why? Okay, boom, yeah. So why? So my point is, for whatever reason, there has been, at times, an attempt to get Aubrey Graham the hell out of hip-hop. And Drake has rapped about this in his records, and it sounds like he's just paranoid when he says it. But I've seen those attempts. I've seen those attempts from executives and rappers and DJs to bomb on him for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know Drake personally.
You think it's karma?
Karma? Why? Karma? Why? Explain why it would be karma. Why you think?
Maybe he's done something behind the scenes, or he raps a lot about. I always found it was crazy that there's multiple dudes in hip hop that have a story about Drake sleeping with the girl that they were interested in. You know what I mean? And we all know sometimes, that's taken as a sign of disrespect by a lot of people to like the highest level where we could be collaborators. Hey, if you trying to get on to my woman, by the way, even Baby Keem, remember Baby Keem mentioned that at the end of the song, the same song that Kendrick was like, what top 5 you smoking on? He says number 2, and he's talking about a number 2 rapper because obviously he thinks Kendrick's number 1. He said the number 2 rapper is in my girl DMs. So I don't know if maybe that's like, he's been doing a lot of these things that, maybe as the biggest rapper in the world, you could throw on your weight like that, but it only takes for a certain amount of people to come together and be like, you know what? I think we could get him if we all link up. Let's get this fuck nigga.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something too. You brought up Baby Keem. When I first heard Euphoria, and in the beginning, after he does the like subtle stuff, and then the beat changes, and he goes, hey, or whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, please don't bring Baby Keem on this record. I like Baby Keem, but I was just like, not right now. And that just sounded like Baby Keem ad lib. I thought Baby Keem was coming, so I'm glad he didn't put Baby Keem on it because Kendrick be sneaking Baby Keem on records, right? To your point about what you said about Drake just now, that could be it. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, this is what I want everybody that's listening to this live stream and everybody that's a fan of hip hop and the culture. We don't know these people for real.
True.
We not rappers. We not in these circles. We media guys, media personalities. We know what they feed us when they want us to push certain narratives. Like I'm sure right now, you've been getting fed so much stuff over the last few weeks because all of these different rappers want you to push their narrative because they understand how important narratives are to them winning a lot of these situations, because the only people that can declare a winner in these situations is the court of public opinion. So a lot of these people know how to sway the jury really well in the court of public opinion, but we don't know these guys for real. And if you're talking about situations where, these rappers are sleeping with each other's women or getting at each other's girls, a lot of them ain't gonna never really give that up. And the reason they're not gonna give that up because of their pride and because of their ego. They're not gonna say, yeah, this dude from Canada slept with my girl. They're not gonna say, yeah, this my girl left me for this dude from Canada. They're not gonna ever reveal that. So they'll pick at other stuff. And that's why sometimes this stuff be looking very, very petty, because we don't really know what the real issue is. Like right now, everybody's like, damn, why are they jumping Drake?
Ross named a reason, and I don't think anybody believes that's the real reason. He said, the reason why I did this was because you sent a cease and desist for French Montana. And like French Montana still follows Drake.
Where French Montana this record at then?
He still follows Drake and everything. So it looked like there's another reason, but the one you could probably share was that. So you're right. We don't know these people. We don't know.
We don't know. And see, and when you hear that, right? When you hear, oh, he said the cease and desist, you be like, hey, that don't seem right. Probably because it's not right. Probably because that might have actually happened, but there's probably a whole nother reason that none of those brothers will ever reveal, because they don't want to give him that ultimate win. Because, in the eyes of the digital world, if it comes out, Drake was just smashing all these dudes' girls and these dudes is jealous, then we got to take it back to 94. And you got to say, don't be mad at Drake. You got to be mad at your girl. You can't, what Snoop said back in the day, don't be mad because your B chose me.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying? So nobody wants to, nobody's going to ever really truly admit what the actual issue is. They're never going to do it. So all we can do is just sit back and enjoy the music and enjoy the entertainment. But this is one of the best musical hip hop battles I've seen. Like in modern day times, even when you compare it to some of the stuff that's happened in historically, this is one of the best because you literally got the two guys. These are the two goats. However you want to slice it, I don't care who your favorite is. If you could just step back and be objective and look at who's really been running culture for the last 15 years, you got to say those two. And you'll mention Cole and Future, but I'm talking about as far as who we want to see go at it and battle is Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and it's not even close. And I've been saying, Drake got all the accolades, and he got all the statistics and the numbers and everything else. But I just always felt like Kendrick was the leader of the new school when it comes to, this new generation, simply because of what he stands for and just how dope he is lyrically. So it's going to be very good. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, man.
Hey, him using the DMX, the reference, but he said, I hate the bitches you fuck. Like, he said, I hate everything about you. He said, I'm the biggest hater. I ain't gonna lie. I know you say you the OG Drake hater, man, but once I heard that, he felt so sincere about that shit. I'm like, nah, this shit got to be personal.
I mean, it's top 3 that I've heard. I'm speaking for myself, being an OG Drake hater. I've really had some great. I've had some great moments hating on Drake. When I said that, there's three sexualities. There's gay, straight, and Drake. I think that is very, very unappreciated in culture. And I think you still see that now. Like Drake still could be a sexuality because there's a lot of Drake sexuals out here that love him to death. You might be one. You might be a Drake sexual. You might be.
With the music. Not like I don't be defending him like painting his nails and shit. Like that's not my thing.
Okay.
Like,
so
I can't do a nail paint thing. No.
So between that one, DMX on Breakfast Club back in the day, DMX was like, y'all hate his face. Like, God damn. God bless the dead. X said, I hate his face. Like, he was like, I hate his face. That's like, wow, okay. And then what we just heard Kendrick do on Euphoria. There was another time X came on Breakfast Club, and I know they squashed all that, but X was mad that Drake used an Aaliyah feature.
Yeah. I remember that.
He was like, I catch him in the elevator. I'm like, damn. Like,
Yeah, I remember he was talking about beating up Drake. Yeah.
Yeah, X just had a different passion. That wasn't because I don't think he had anything personal against Drake. X just had a passion for hip hop and what he felt hip hop should be. And I think a lot of people they look at Drake and they feel like that's not what hip hop is. But I disagree with that. I think Drake is hip hop to the core. Like I think he really studies hip hop culture in a real way. So he appreciates it in a real way. I mean, even on the push-up record, using Who Kid, having a Who Kid drop in the beginning, like I literally thought Who Kid had played the record and people were just ripping it.
Yeah, me too.
And that's what I thought in the beginning. Bless you. But using that in the beginning of the record, and then before he got into his bars about Ross, saying you got me feeling like I'm 50. That's a nice little ode to hip hop. And that's the other thing I like about what Kendrick and Drake is doing. Like, I'm a Marvel guy. So I'm the guy that be on YouTube watching new rock stars and, watching all these Marvel breakdowns. Man, they got these hip-hop diss records feeling like Marvel breakdowns because you watching them and you got to see all the Easter eggs that's in them. And, you got to reverse audio to hear what was said. Like, I love all of that.
I'm going to be honest. One thing I've realized about Kendrick is talking about painters from the 16th century, bro. Like, I'm like, what? He's talking about philosophers. His references are just out of this world, which either means, well, he's definitely well read. But I'm wondering, like, this isn't some shit you come up with, like, after, like, yo, let's punch in real quick. This is well thought out. Let's lay this out very systematically, which, man, I'm just happy I've been trying to enjoy the moment. Like, even the moments where I'm waiting on the other person to respond, because I feel like when this is over with, we're going to be talking about this moment for so long and probably won't see it again for maybe 10, 14, 15 years.
That's why I was shocked that Kendrick came out so fast, with the 616 in LA, because people are still breaking down Euphoria. But to your point, Kendrick has been clearly studying hip hop and studying the game this whole time. So these aren't new thoughts he got about Drake. Like you don't get on a record and give somebody 12 bars about hating them and you just woke up and thought about hating them the day before. This has been something that's been marinating, for a long time. And from the perspective of somebody who, goes to therapy and, I'm into, the mindfulness aspect of things and like really making sure my mental and emotional health is straight. Like that's what Kendrick has been doing. And that's why he was able to give this psychological evaluation of Drake on the Euphoria record. Like, he wasn't just talking about, Drake as an artist. He wasn't just talking about, he felt like Drake hasn't grown as an artist and Drake is a style over substance guy. He's saying, Drake, you haven't grown as a man. Like when you coming at him about, the son angle, you're saying that, you can't give your son morals, values, and integrity because that's what you don't got. You can't teach your son to pray because that's not what you're doing. You can't teach your son to, consider what God is thinking because you're not doing that. I don't know if any of that is true. I just know that's a good, astute observation that somebody can make, when they're on their healing journey. And I think, a lot of those bars might poke at, some of Drake's insecurities, but we're not gonna know till the next record comes out. But I hope Drake doesn't get caught up in being on the defense trying to explain all of that. I really hope he doesn't.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna I think it's gonna come soon, but I definitely think he has to factor in what Kendrick has done, and also because I think there's a change of approach. Like Kendrick ain't moving like how people thought he was gonna be moving, like moving at snail's pace. Is gonna like he's not gonna keep up with maybe a more modern aspect of, like he dropped this shit on Instagram just like Drake. We didn't
know how Kendrick was gonna move. Because Kendrick has never moved. Kendrick has always been the boogeyman. Kendrick is the person nobody really wanted smoke with. Like when he did Control, he called out a lot of people on the record. I don't remember anybody from maybe Baby Big Crit might have been one of the only people that he's talked about on the record that replied. Like the people that came at Kendrick was people that he didn't even talk about in the record. So he probably didn't even feel the need to engage. Like, so we don't know how. We don't know what his battle strategy was going to be. We didn't know what his war strategy was going to be. So we didn't have nothing to judge it on. But he's giving us shit in a week. He's giving us enough sample size that we know he's not going to play. Like we know he's not going to play. So once again, Drake, whatever he comes out with, I think he should. If the plan was to come out with a hit record that's got some disses in it, I think he should stay to that. He should stay in his world. You know what I mean? Like Drake should stay.
Well,
Drake should stay.
You hear what Kendrick says? Kendrick says you've been paying. You put money in the streets trying to find out information about me. I just be chilling. You get what I mean? So it looks like, even if it's going to be on a hit record, Drake might be searching for that thing, that knockout punch, that. Yo, I'm gonna expose this guy. You know what I mean? Because again,
I don't think you got anything on Kendrick. I think Kendrick is flawless as an MC, and none of us are flawless as people, right? Like all of us got flaws. None of us are perfect. But it's just like, what are you going to say about Kendrick that's really going to shock people? Or what are you going to say about Kendrick that he hasn't already said about himself? Like I do think he's going to come with the white girl angle, and Twitter's going to eat that up because of the angle Kendrick took with Euphoria. But is that really going to have any real impact? Like, nah. What I'm saying? Like, that's not going to really have any real impact. It's going to be funny. I think Drake should just really stay in his lane. And I mean, he said something on Push Up after he plays your voice sample. It sounds like another record starts. And he says, I was going to keep it PG, which is a double entendre because, that's Kendrick's label, the PG Lang situation. But also, I was just going to keep it PG, but now I might have to get rated R.
Yeah, well,
I don't know what
that's
that.
what
I don't know what
he
that
learned
is.
from Pusha T. I think he learned that from Pusha T. By the way, also, apparently 6/16, not only is it Canadian Father's Day, not only is it in 2016, that was the day the first episode of Euphoria aired. Apparently 6/16, June 16, is Tupac's birthday.
That is it? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because he's a Gemini.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe Drake should just send Kendrick the ring. Maybe that's how this all ends. Maybe this ends. Maybe this ends with them. With we bring verses back, right? Swiss and Tim bring verses back. Drake and Kendrick, they go hit for hit. Like, we know Drake got 1 million of them. Kendrick got a phenomenal catalog too, so it'll be a great versus. Then they do their diss records towards each other, but it ends with a handshake, and Drake giving Kendrick the ring, because that's what a ring should rightfully be anyway, right? Because you got a West Coast, icon passing it to a West Coast icon should have been passing that to a new West Coast icon. But maybe that's how it ends, man. It ends with Drake giving Kendrick the ring, and Kendrick giving Drake a lifetime supply of Canada Dry or something like that. Just something, just something, because I don't know how this ends. I really don't know what the ending will be. It won't end until somebody has a misstep. We haven't seen a misstep yet. And the only way I can see us having a misstep is if Drake feeds into everything Kendrick has been saying about him and goes on the defense about who he is as a person instead of staying focused on Kendrick. Because Drake could easily make himself a target by defending himself instead of just staying on his target, which is Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm excited though. I'm excited. Every time one of these tracks comes out, I'm excited. I mean, I even told people, because a bunch of people hit me, they say, "Yo, Kendrick District," and I said, "Listen, that was the most respectable name check I could possibly get, because if I'm him, I'd use the same angle. If one of the biggest, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would say if one of the biggest media entities or personalities is publicly saying he's rooting for Drake, I need to make sure that he's not the one controlling the narrative, because he might sway the narrative in Drake's direction. Let me just put it out there now. He's compromised, okay? Shit, I get it. Like if I'm him, I would do the same. But
here's the thing: you shouldn't be compromised, and the reason you shouldn't be compromised is because they all understand your platform. So as long as as long as you stay true to the platform and stay true to the people, right, who listen to your platform all of the time, they're gonna always use you in some way, shape, or form. Remember, in the key word, I said use. I didn't say need, because none of these people need us, but they will use us. And there's nothing wrong with being used. You just don't let people misuse you, and you will start getting misused if you become an OVO hoe. You don't want to be an OV hoe. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to. You don't want to be an OV hoe. You don't want to have your pom poms out all of the time. You just got to remain objective. And from what I believe I've seen thus far, you have done that. Like, you gave it up for Euphoria. You've given it up for the new record.
Yeah. By the way, it's close. And here's the thing: I think this track might trump TaylorMade, because TaylorMade was just a track. It was a pep talk. TaylorMade was creative. This track probably trumps TaylorMade. And then Euphoria and Push-Ups, I think is really close. You're saying exactly what I'm saying. None of them has dropped a song where we like, oh nah, that ain't it. You know what I mean? Like,
nah, it's been no nuclear bombs, but it's been some like really, really great rap. I listened to Push-Up 1 million times because I was really impressed at all of the different angles Drake took, not just on Kendrick, but on everybody that he went at on that record. I enjoyed the TaylorMade because he was playing into the narrative that, Kendrick ain't dropped yet. Where Kendrick at? Let me go pretend to be two of his West Coast, OGs, West Coast icons, and sound like I'm disappointed in him. And then Kendrick, we put him on the clock. And the only reason we put Kendrick on the clock, I put Kendrick on the clock too. And I'll tell you the only reason I put Kendrick on the clock, because this is not a new beef. This is something that both of them have been circling each other for years. Both of them have been subbing each other for years. So when Kendrick laid that gauntlet down, and he laid that gauntlet down on Like That, we put Drake on the clock. All right, Drake, where you at? Drake came direct with push-ups. He came at all of them with push-ups. So now it's like, all right, Kendrick, you got what you've been asking for all these years. So what's up? So that's why we put Kendrick on the clock. And he delivered with Euphoria. Now he delivered again with the 616 and LA record. So now Drake's on defense. It's on you, Drake.
Hey, by the way, this is the rewards of living that peaceful, quiet life, boring life that Kendrick mentions. Kendrick he's playing off of that to get at Drake. He's like, yo, you see what? And I know this too. When you hang around with different women and different people, this and third, that's how you get all this. That's why he's playing with Drake, saying, yeah, there's a leak, but it's not that person. It might be any one of these people. You become susceptible to that, where Now you're wondering how Kendrick's finding out information, and he gets to play with you like that might have came from the guy standing next to you. But
that's right. And so now Kendrick is playing in the Drake's Paranoia, and there's probably gonna be mad people with owls on their jacket that get fired today. It's mad people with owls on their T-shirt that's probably gonna get fired today because Drake don't know who's who. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and guess what? Guess who says who a lot? Owls, goddammit. So when you don't know who's who in your owl camp, you just got to start cutting a lot of the who's, and that possibly might happen today.
yeah, man, oh
I like
man.
I like where this is going, but more importantly, man, you know, I think this is a great moment for you. You know, like I told you earlier, you know, me and you have had a lot of conversations over the years, and there's a lot of things I've told you to move away from. A lot of, mainly like you're very hard on women. I told you this a million times. Like, you know, you're very, very, very hard on women. So people have a certain perspective of you, and they don't, you know, factor in the good you actually do for hip hop. You know,
I'm always thinking I'm keeping it fair though. Like I'm always thinking I'm like if I'm like I'm talking about Meek Mill, you know, and I'm dealing with Meek Mill like this. If we're dealing with like, you know, which I've learned though. I've learned like I'm usually think it's just equal, right? So if I could talk about Meek Mill like this, and I talk about let's say Young Miami like that, which is like the same thing. If y'all don't say I hate dudes, right? And I'm dealing with it equally.
But you and I both know it's different when you're dealing with women. It just is. That's the world we live in. And I think sometimes, you know, even when you do that, that can cause you to crash because now you feel like I gotta show people I ain't afraid of dudes either, and I'll talk crazy about dudes, and then that's when you might be talking about choking out Lil Baby or something crazy like that. And a lot of that stuff, I've always told you, like, man, you're gonna have to answer for. You know what I mean? Like we all have in this space. You go online right now. There's a video of me getting punched in the back of my head. You know what I'm saying? And running into the radio station, walking outside the radio station, and videos people don't see. I'm fighting in the drugstore with people. So like you know, like there's a way. There's certain things I don't like to see people, you know, who are coming up after us. I don't want to have to see them go through the same things. So that's why I've spoken to you the way I've spoken to you all these years. And I tell you these things because you act like Joe ain't never got punched in the eye before. You know what I'm saying? Like it happens is what I'm saying. And it doesn't have to happen. You can be in a hip hop cultural critic like you are and be objective about these people's music. Like I feel like you are doing. And have the same large platform.
But you also know that with giving your opinion, a lot of people sometimes ain't gonna like it. Like, you know, I've realized I used to think a lot of rappers are my friends until I had to tell the truth about them. Like, I don't like this, and then all of a sudden now it's a problem.
Oh, that happens to me all the time. There's people but that's my fault because a long time ago I learned you're either gonna be of the people or of the industry. The only difference is a lot of these people now, we all came up together. So you do, whether you want to or not, you are going to move differently because it's a difference when you just come into the game and you're talking about a whole bunch of people that you don't know. When you come into the game with these people and your career and their career are both parallel and y'all are both growing at the same time, that really might be your people. So you're not going to get on the radio or get on the internet and talk, you know, crazy about your peoples. You are going to pump your brakes a little bit. The critique will change a little bit in regards to their music. It shouldn't, but that's just something that's naturally going to happen. But listen, I can live with, you know, me giving critique of people and people not liking my critique. But I'm just telling you, when you take it a step further and just like Kendrick is saying to Drake, you start acting tough and you start talking tough. That's where I always tell you that you run into problems at. That's why I think right now is a good moment for you to remind people, I got here because I was talking about hip hop. And I got here because I was talking about hip hop culture. And I'm one of the best at doing that. That's where you should stay right now. This is a good sweet spot for you. You asking me about Kendrick and Drake and you know what could change for them in this situation, you should be asking yourself what could change for you too. And I think some really good things. I think some really good things if you focus on what's important and leave the bullshit to the side.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is definitely the most attention the platform's gotten, and I'm very happy that it's surrounded music. You know, again, I remember back in 2012 when I was just putting up videos on YouTube and I was just talking about music. You know what I mean? You know, of course, when it comes to music and hip hop culture, the ancillary stuff, like for example, you happen to have to talk about news of, okay, this person, Young Thug, went to jail on a RICO charge or whatever. But you know, primarily, what everything is really centered around is music. That's why I love this moment so much. You know what I mean?
But that's still music. I mean, even though it's still an artist dealing with something, and and lyrics are being brought into the courtroom, into that case. So that you breaking that down, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I just love like I like when I'm being a super fan. Like the reason I'm breaking down the lyrics and I'm really trying to connect all of these things that's happened, like, you know, just like you, and you know, and it's not only because hip hop happens to be pretty much the vehicle that employs us all. Like I remember all these moments because like I was obsessed with the culture all throughout that time. So like now watching shit happen now, and I'm like paralleling to yo, I remember when Drake and Meek was into it and this went down like that. You know what I mean? I remember when the Pusha T situation happened and went down like that. I remember when initially Kendrick and Drake first, they were on the scene, they were showing a lot of love to each other. Now it's interesting to kind of like chronologically like lay that out while I'm breaking shit down.
And you know all of that because you're a fan, and that's what we all should be. At the end of the day, we should all be fans. Don't ever get so big that you start acting like you're an expert in this field. Like at the end of the day, I'm just a fan, and I love hip hop, and this shit is fun and it's exciting to me. I was born in 1978. I'm 45 years old, and hip hop is just as exciting to me now. Hearing Kendrick's new record this morning is just as exciting to me now as hearing Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim in '88 was to me, when I was 10 years old. So I love hip hop. So I'm always going to be a fan of hip hop and be a fan of hip hop culture. And that's another reason you don't ever want to be, too close to it, because when you're too close to it, that's when those biases do set in. And don't get me wrong, there should be some bias, because at the end of the day, the biggest bias should be that all of these people are human. Whether you realize it or not, Aubrey Drake Graham is a human being, Kendrick Lamar is a human being, Trey Cole or Jermaine Cole, J. Cole is a human being. Like, they're all human beings at the end of the day. And when you get to know a lot of these artists and realize that, man, it will change your perception of some of these people. Like when you the artists you got relationships with, I know you look at them differently than you did before you knew them.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of which, I told people before, so there was 3 times like I got invited and went to Drake's show, and I was supposed to meet him afterwards, but I ain't gonna lie, I think I was having too much fun. I took my ass straight home afterwards, so I still never met him. And I always said, because my whole audience been like, man, yo, you keep messing up. You definitely want to meet this guy who you've been listening to his music for so long, and y'all communicate. And I said, I'm okay with not knowing the person Drake, because I like the musician of Drake. I don't know if I like the person, and I know that's probably somebody who's.
That's right.
That like, I'm not gonna assume because I know your music, I know you as a person.
That's right.
So
well, please tell all your listeners that, because that is the biggest problem we have, I think, in this era. We think we know these people. Yeah. We don't know these people. All we know is their music. We don't know nothing about them. That's why it's so strange to me how somebody can get on a record and just say something and everybody run with it. Now all of a sudden y'all don't want to hear Drake say nigga no more. Yeah. Like now all of a sudden y'all don't want to hear Drake say nigga no more. Hey, come on, man, stop it. Like, so J. Cole can't say nigga. None of the Puerto Ricans here in New York that have been saying it forever can't say it. None of the Mexicans in LA can't say it. Now, once again, I'm on record saying all biracials should just say nig. Just say half of it, not nigga. Just half, not nigga, just nig. I've been saying Drake and J. Cole should just say nig. But it's just interesting to me how a song can just change somebody's your whole narrative can just change about a person, because of how powerful a person's voice is and when they put it in music.
Hey, by the way, I've also said, and I wonder what's your reflection towards this, right? You know, there is some called cultural just currency, and we know, like, I think you when the whole thing with the NFL and Jay Z had a lot of cultural currency that, you know, he could affect the culture based on what he does or what he thinks. I think Kendrick has the same. Like, I think Kendrick is really making people reevaluate Drake's blackness. You get what I mean? Which I don't think Drake has nearly the amount of cultural currency where he could say something and the culture looks at anything and starts to almost have a reevaluation. Um,
Well, these conversations have been happening for a while. You know, I got to salute my guy Glasses Malone. You know, he got the No Ceilings podcast. Glasses has been having these conversations about Drake for a long time. You know, Glasses, he actually calls Drake Madonna. Like, that's what he says. He says Drake is fast food. He says, you know, Drake is McDonald's. Like, you know, it's good, right? But, you know, that's not something that, you know, you want to live off. Like, he's been having these conversations about, you know, Drake's cultural significance and how he views culture. I promise you, he's been having these conversations for a long time. So it's not like people haven't been saying these things, you know. Like you said. Remember when Mos Def, I can't even remember what they called him, brother. What they call him now? Yasin Bey.
Yeah.
Remember what he said a couple months ago? He was like, "Yo, it's aggressive. It's music to aggressively shot to." You know what I mean? Like, it's not like these cultural conversations, you know, haven't been happening. And then when you start pulling up like, you know, old videos, and you see, you know, Drake leaning into his Jewish heritage, you know, things like that. I think that, yeah, it is going to make people question. Well, when did you get so black? When did you become this guy? I think those are valid questions to ask culturally when you're talking about culture.
But is it really though? Like, I mean, people grow and change. It's like, you know, you as a kid and me as a child, like, we've probably evolved and, you know, hopefully for the better. But a lot of times, sometimes you've taken on what's around you. And also, Drake's been kind of telling us his whole career, yo, hey, I spent time at my mom, in between my mom and my dad. And when I went to my dad or I went to my auntie's house, like, these were different experiences.
Oh yeah,
that I was having.
And his dad is an OG from Memphis. Like, his dad can say nigga 3 times in a row, backwards, forwards. Like, his dad can say it whenever he wants to. So yeah, there is that aspect. Like, listen, I'm not one of those people that believes, you know, just because you biracial, you're not black. That's just stupid. But I think Drake is speaking specifically to culture. And, like, yo, by the way, everybody doing these think pieces, Kendrick said himself on the record, it ain't that deep to me. I just don't like when you say it. You know what I'm saying? When I hear you say the N-word, it's cringy to me. Like, but it ain't really that deep. But, you know, he's questioning, you know, how he plays with black culture. I think that's the other thing too, right? It's like a lot of times when people talk about blackness, they always want to relate blackness to something criminal, something street, you know, something nefarious almost. And then I think that's what he was saying. Like, you know, like, yo, you out here acting tough, and you rapping about guns, but didn't want to say, you know, R.I.P. when somebody in your city passes. Like, I think that's what he's questioning a lot of too. And once again, those are fair questions. I just hope Drake doesn't waste a record trying to answer them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear a Drake record where Drake is coming out trying to defend himself against the things that Kendrick is saying. I just want him to come out and bomb on that. Like, I think that would be the strategy that keeps him, you know, in a position to, if anybody wins this thing, he'll stay on the winning track. Because if he comes out and he tries to defend himself against everything that K-Dot is saying, that's like writing a diss record to yourself.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Stay on the offensive. Like, if you can't turn into an offensive thing, don't get on defense, because once you get on defense, it's like you're backpedaling. You're about to have to do some rope-a-dope in a second.
You're right, but I'm gonna tell you something. He looked like he on defense right now. Right now, Drake need an interception or something.
Really? He's been quiet.
Well, the only reason I say that is because, once again, like that, Like that was the first score. Push up was the next score. The Taylor Made record, I put that as a field goal, right? I think that was a good one. Then Euphoria comes. That's another score. So we just doing it from football. It's 14-10. And then 616 drops. Like, hey, now is this a field goal? Is this a touchdown? Feeling like a touchdown to me. So now it could be 21-10. Now, if I'm being fair, if I'm just looking at how it looks, to me it looks like Kendrick is up slightly. I wouldn't say 21-10. I'll just say that it feels like if we looking at it in box, I'll look at it in boxing as opposed to football. Kendrick might be slightly up on the scorecard right now. And
why don't we count first person shooter then? Why don't we count if we're gonna count like that? Why don't we count first person shooter?
Because I don't remember no bars from Drake that sounded like they were to Kendrick. I feel like Cole set that off.
That's why I don't respect the Cole thing. I feel like Cole started this beef, asked to get out the car, and he's at home watching all this shit happen on the news.
Man, no, but I get what you're saying. But Drake and Kendrick have been throwing shots at each other for years as well. You know what I'm saying? So I think that in a way, J. Cole saying that on Drake's record, Kendrick probably, and we don't know think about it, we don't know the details. So if you ask me to be on the record, I'm not on the record, but you let Cole come on the record and throw shots at me. And then y'all put this record out. So Kendrick probably like, man, fuck both of them. You know, for that moment, Kendrick like, no, I'm going at both of them. Motherfucker, Big Three is just Big Me. Since y'all asked me to be on the record and I declined, so now y'all want to get on this record and throw shots at me, and y'all on stage, you know, performing this record, and y'all big as the Super Bowl. All right, watch this.
And by the way, so you know, in basketball, people have said one of the problems is that it's too friendly. For example, like, you know, remember, you know, you'll have LeBron going at the Warriors, but we all know him and Draymond be kicking it in the summer. Like, you know, it's not that like, yo, we hate each other. And notoriously, 90s basketball and 80s basketball, like, these stars really didn't like each other. And Kendrick seems to kind of almost like want that approach back. Like, yo, forget all this like being on stage hugging and kissing shit. Let's get to the shit where like we're all competing and we don't like each other.
Because it's time. And what I mean by it's time, yeah, it is a big three. I call it, once again, I say it's a fantastic four because I put Future in there. But let's just talk about the people who we know are these super lyricists, right? The J. Coles, the Drakes, the Kendricks. It's been this big three talk for a long time. Don't we think right now it's time to see who the definitive leader of this past generation was? Don't you think now is the time to do that? Like, you know, we missed it when Rakim and Kane never got into it. Nas and Jay got into it. You know, Drake and Kendrick are doing that for their generation. And by the way, even though Nas might have won that battle, both him and Jay-Z won the war. They both came out clean. They both 50-something years old. I think Nas might be 50 now, but they both 50-something years old. Rich, living a good life, have all the respect from their peers, have all the respect from the culture, and we respect what they did, you know. And it can be the same thing with Drake and Kendrick. But right now, we need to know who's that guy. At this moment, we need to know who the heavyweight lyrical champion of hip hop is. And I think that's what we're witnessing right now. And it's a really, really beautiful thing to see if you're objective. If you're objective and you ain't letting your blood pressure get too high, you know, over either one of them, whether it's, you know, Drake or Kendrick, you're not being a stand in either one of them, and you're just being objective and enjoying the music, yo, you gotta love what's going on right now. You got to.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlamagne, I'm gonna let you go, man. I know Schultz got a show at MSG tonight.
That's right.
I'm pulling up there, man.
Yes, big show sold out Madison Square Garden. 2 sold out shows. The Knicks won last night, so they're not playing in the Garden tomorrow. So Andrew Schultz has 2 sold out shows tonight at MSG and tomorrow at MSG. So yeah, gotta go celebrate my guy Andrew Schultz, Brilliant Idiots. And I want to tell all your people on your live stream, go pre-order my book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Why Small Talk Sucks. Okay, it'll be available May 21st. You can go pre-order it now. I'm one of those people that believe you have some people that actually read. I respect your audience.
Yeah, no, I think they do. I think they do.
Yeah.
I think they do.
All right. Peace.
All right, we'll catch you later.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna chop it up with Charlamagne later. I'm chopping up with Joe and Charlamagne today, man. I feel like I got a new Kendrick record. I'm chopping up with Joe, Charlamagne, watching my man shows. Like, holy, good times, good times, good times. Yo, people, I'm gonna be honest with you. Very surreal time that we're experiencing hip hop. You know, we were kind of like in the middle of like a lyric breakdown. We're still kind of figuring out everything. Need your girl to give me knowledge like it's high school. Cause you know she feel her presence all on YouTube. All my dogs be leaving footprints like it's Blue's Clues. Blue's Clues.